Before 1914, wars were fought with courage, rifles, and horses. Battles still had rules. Soldiers still charged in formation. But when the Great War began, everything changed. The world entered the age of industrial killing, a war powered by machines, not men. In just 4 years, human beings created new ways to destroy each other, faster, louder, and more efficient than ever before. This is the story of the weapons that changed war forever. When the war began, each army carried rifles and bayonets, tools of 19th century battles. But there was one weapon that none of them were truly ready for: the machine gun. Invented in the late 1800s, the Maxim gun could fire 600 rounds per minute. What once took 100 soldiers could now be done by a handful of men behind steel shields. At the Battle of the Somme, in July 1916, British soldiers climbed out of their trenches and walked toward German lines, shoulder to shoulder as they had for centuries. In just one day, nearly 60,000 fell. The machine gun had ended the age of open battlefield heroics. From that point forward, every army dug deep into the earth for survival, giving birth to trench warfare. The machine gun turned Europe into a stalemate of mud, blood, and fear. If the machine gun ruled the trenches, artillery ruled the world above them. These guns were enormous, some weighing over 100 tons. The German Big Bertha could fire shells heavier than a car over 10 miles away. Most soldiers never even saw their killers. A whistling sound in the air, a deafening blast, and everything disappeared. Trees shredded, trenches collapsed, men vanished into the earth. Artillery caused more casualties in World War I than any other weapon, and it changed the psychology of war. Constant shelling drove men to madness, what they called shell shock. Even silence after days of bombardment felt unbearable. In 1915, near the Belgian town of Ypres, German troops tried something new. They opened hundreds of gas cylinders and let the wind carry death across the battlefield. The soldiers on the other side didn't even understand what was happening. They saw the mist, breathed it in, and their lungs began to burn. The chlorine gas attack at Ypres marked the first use of chemical warfare on a massive scale. Later came phosgene, deadlier but invisible, and mustard gas, which blistered skin and blinded soldiers for life. Gas didn't decide battles, but it changed how soldiers saw war. It was unpredictable. It didn't care if you were brave or scared. It made the air itself an enemy. In 1916, the British unveiled a secret weapon meant to break the stalemate, a land ship made of steel. They called it the tank. The first tanks were slow, clumsy, and often broke down, but when they moved, they terrified the enemy. Imagine standing in a trench as a 30-ton monster rolls towards you, crushing barbed wire and spraying bullets. The first tank attack at the Somme was a disaster. Half the machines broke before reaching the front. But the idea had been born. By 1918, new models like the French Renault FT had rotating turrets, setting the standard for future warfare. The tank was crude, loud, and unreliable, but it changed war forever. For the first time, man had armor on the battlefield. When World War I began, airplanes were barely 10 years old. At first, they were used for reconnaissance, flying high above the trenches to spot enemy movements. But it didn't take long before pilots began shooting at each other. The first air war was chaotic and deadly. Pilots fought with pistols and rifles until machine guns were fixed to wings. Soon the skies filled with duels, man against man, thousands of feet above the world. Legends were born, the German ace known as the Red Baron, who shot down over 80 enemy aircraft before his death in 1918. For the first time, war had a new dimension: the sky. While planes ruled the air, submarines hunted silently beneath the waves. German U-boats stalked Allied ships, sinking them without warning. A single torpedo could send a vessel and everyone on board to the bottom of the sea. In 1915, the world was horrified when a U-boat sank the British passenger ship Lusitania, killing more than 1,000 civilians. The message was clear: nowhere was safe. The submarine turned the ocean into a hidden battlefield, a new kind of warfare fought in silence and darkness. World War I didn't just create new weapons, it transformed everything about how armies fought. Portable flamethrowers made their debut, turning trenches into infernos. Hand grenades, once crude, became standard issue. And new communication tools, like field telephones and Morse code radios, allowed commanders to direct battles in real time. The battlefield had become a machine, and men, its moving parts. When the war finally ended in 1918, 20 million lives were gone. The borders of nations changed, but the weapons remained. Tanks rolled again in 1939. Gas returned in new forms. Planes became bombers. The Great War didn't just change history, it changed humanity. From the mud of the trenches arose a new kind of world, built by invention and haunted by its power.